Hello, my name is Jenna Faulkner. As you can see, we are deep in rural America right now. This region of Southwest Virginia is known for its large fields, ample livestock, and a slower pace of life than our Northern Virginia neighbors. However, this part of Southwest Virginia is also home to Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, one of the largest state universities on the East Coast and home to a devoted Hokie fan base. Traveling through campus, you can see all the resources available to Tech students and also to the surrounding area. Down the road, another prestigious institution is located, Gilbert Lincas Elementary School. Gilbert Lincas is just down the street from Virginia Tech's main campus and prides itself on its record of state accreditation and extracurricular activities. In Gilbert Lincas, I also completed my student observation with kindergarten teacher, Miss Willis. Miss Willis has been in the field for over 25 years here at GLC. As you can see, she keeps her classroom impeccably clean and organized and also makes use of the resources available within the kindergarten building, including 14 computers and a smart board for kindergarten's use only.
The majority of the kids that I have had them IEPs with speech, but mainly with like severe learning disabilities. They don't usually like to label a child until they go to first grade. A lot of times they won't test, even though you know they need it. You go through all these meetings and you have to go through a group of like teachers will be on a panel, and you have to go and sit and plead your case and say, this is what I'm worried about. They'll give you ideas, and then you'll talk to special ed, but a lot of times they won't qualify a child until they get into first grade. So a lot of times they come in with an IEP when they come into kindergarten.
So kindergarten's kind of almost it seems like a buffer zone.
It is, and they are hoping, sometimes they think kids may outgrow or they want to see the progress they're going to make in that year. And then it's like a child we had a couple of years ago, and he had repeated kindergarten. He'd been in Christiansburg, then he came to Lincas, and sweet, wonderful disposition, but he couldn't retain anything. And his, with his second year in kindergarten, the teacher went through, and he wasn't in my room, he was in another teacher's room, but I worked with him in the summer, and he couldn't retain, and she went before this panel, but they didn't qualify him until first grade. It bothered me he didn't get help that right away, but we have no control. The STAR, it's a reading test that asks them a series of questions, and if they continue to answer them correctly, it keeps going, but once they miss so many, it stops, and you can see where their reading level is. For kids that are lower, I work with them, try to work with them one-on-one. We have a PALS assessment, it's a phonological awareness screening, you've probably heard of. And if children don't make a certain score on that, we have a reading specialist who works with them. Plus, I try to pull and do one-on-one with small groups with what they need. Oh, we have action-based learning, which is a new program we started this year, and the kids come in like at early, like 15 minutes early to school, and it's a whole, I don't know as much about the program as I need to learn more, but they work with kids. It's connected with coordination, and it's been proven that if children, like if they can't do jumping jacks, or if they're not coordinating, they're going to have trouble reading. So it works a lot with their doing a lot of physical activities while they're looking at letters or looking at numbers. And so we started that, our aides at our school, because we can't do it in the morning when you've got kids coming into the classroom. So I really saw a big difference. I had 2 children going to that this year, and it was incredible the difference that it made, and what they started out with and how they ended. It's not one teacher, it's everybody in the whole school working together. Sometimes I feel like, especially now they're changing the law so much, that children are not getting the coverage they need. They're making it harder and harder to qualify, like for speech. I had a little boy this year that I could hardly understand at the beginning of the year, and he passed the test, and I just said, how can he pass? You can't understand what he's saying, and he's getting frustrated, and I feel bad because you only want to make him repeat it so many times, and you're trying to get it. But I think that the state education department needs to come in and see what teachers are doing and where kids are, because they're making it harder and harder for kids to qualify for any services whatsoever. I had a little child that I think should have been, he had OT in preschool, and then they said he didn't need it anymore. Well, definitely he did. I felt personally he did need it. You really need to meet with the special ed teacher, and I think, a weekly meeting to be in sync, because I have problems when they come in and they'll do an evaluation, but they don't know what I'm doing in the classroom with the kids. Mm-hmm. And how can you evaluate them when you come in for an hour one day? Mm-hmm. I have a problem with that. And I know they are on a crunch too. It all comes down to manpower and not having the help you need, and time. Because it's a big responsibility when you do have a special ed child in your class, and trying to find time to meet with the special ed teacher or the aide and say, are we in sync? With inclusion, it all falls back on the classroom teacher, really. Mm-hmm. That's who it falls back on. You may have someone in there doing some one-on-one, but you still have the responsibility of saying, this is what we need to do. And I guess I personally think, I know when I had a special ed child in my room, I would meet with the aides and say, this is what, because I only had aides, I didn't have a special ed teacher that came in the room. I would just say, this is what we are going to work on. Here's a tub of things. Can you work with these items? And if you need more, let me know. Or if you see something that you think would be better, let me know, and I will, and I will get that. I think that now they're called TRIs that are coming in, and they try to give you some resources. They tell you, once again, they're coming in telling you, this is what you need to do, which is hard, and you need to do this, 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 and this. And again, we're responsible for making sure all those things are done, but we don't have the help. Mm-hmm. So I have a little problem with special ed, because I just think if you're going to have inclusion, you've got to have support. And if they've got to be in there, and you've got to work together as a team. No problem. I think when they are in preschool, kindergarten, first, second grade, and you give those kids the services they need, then hopefully you're going to alleviate the problems they could have down the road if they don't have the services they need. And as a classroom teacher, you're trying to meet all those needs, but I'm not a speech therapist. I'm not an occupational therapist. I will get, when they come in, I'll say, what can I do? Give me hints, or can you tell me things that I could work on, or things that we could get mom and dad to work on at home too, to help strengthen. I'll do that. Can you give me a list of things I can do? It depends on the student. I don't think inclusion is for every student. I think kids that are very severe, like severe autism, that scream a lot, and I don't feel sometimes that they're best served in the classroom. I think that makes it hard for the regular classroom. If he's screaming, they need to take him out immediately. I think, because it's interrupting, I think, their learning, and you've got to be careful not to do that.
So you feel that there's a big balance the teachers have to deal with serving the special ed child while still serving the general ed classroom.
Right. And kids that are that severe have one-on-one help. You know, they have one-on-one help. But still, it's disrupting your classroom, too, when they're screaming and yelling. And I know in this county, they would probably have my head for saying, you know, I don't feel inclusion's for everybody. But I do feel like it needs to be on a case-by-case. I think they may need to be more self-contained. But I've had children that were hydrocephalic that I saw my kids change because they became very caring, very loving. They wanted to help. They didn't see that he had a disability. They just knew that they would help him. And I guess I saw my regular students grow in that area. But children that I think you have to take it on a case by case. You know, I've had children with Down syndrome that were delightful. They were a little bullheadish, but so are regular ed kids. You know, and I love to see the regular ed kids, what they get, and the caring, the way they become more caring, because some of these kids have never been taught how to be affectionate, or really all they think about is themselves. And I've seen children that were like that just turn around in their personalities because they want to help. So from that aspect, especially in kindergarten, I like seeing that and giving them responsibility to help. It's really up to the classroom teacher in the special ed department to sit down at the beginning of the year and just say, you know, how can we handle this to make sure that all the kids' needs are met? Can we meet at a certain time and talk? Just so we're each in sync. I think it's really left up to the classroom teacher. I mean, you can take as many in-services as you want, but you've got to make, you know, create that rapport with the people that are in your room. And really, again, it's left up to the classroom teacher, because a lot of these are, you know, they're aides, and you need to just sit down, because they come in and they're overwhelmed too, I know. And they, you know, a lot of times if I have a substitute aide, like if you came in, you know, I would say, this is what, you know, this is what we need to do. Or they may have typed up instructions about certain bathroom times, and a lot of times aides that are really good will have a schedule typed up. So if they're not there, the substitute sort of knows what's going on, what they're doing, and hopefully the classroom teacher will say, this is what I need for you to do when you're in here. But again, it varies from person to person, place to place, school to school. And really, we need, and I don't think we have this in place at Lincoln, but you really need certain protocol, I think. And I've never really thought about it until we sat down and talked, because I think everyone just handles it their own way. This child's going to be in your room. These are the aides. There could be 2 or 3 aides that are going to be coming into your room. This is the schedule, and you do it on your own. But it would be good to have, this is what we do if you have a special ed student in your classroom.